best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agoristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agorist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agoristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agoristhosting.com.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live, brought to you by freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 28th, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.82 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,286 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 3.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $4,193. Antiwar.com reports the Kurdistan regional government has confirmed that 92% of voters supported secession in this week's referendum and are rejecting demands from the central government to surrender all their airports. The Abadi government of Iraq gave the Kurds 72 hours to surrender all their airports or face the closure of their airspace to the international community. The deadline for this handover is Friday, though it is unsurprisingly not going to happen. Iraq has subsequently been making the rounds, issuing requests to the rest of the world asking them to comply with their demand to close Iraqi Kurdish airspace to punish the Kurds for keeping their airports. Turkey, unsurprisingly, given their hostility towards the Kurds, were Johnny on the spot to endorse this idea, announcing that they will be forbidding all flights into Iraqi Kurdistan starting on Friday. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports fast food chain Sonic confirmed on Wednesday that it had been the target of a data breach that could leave millions of customers' data at risk. Sonic issued a statement saying its credit card processors detected unusual activity involving credit cards used at their restaurants last week. The company said, "We are working to understand the nature and scope of this issue as we know how important it is to our guests. We immediately engaged third-party forensic experts and law enforcement when we heard from our processor." Journalist Brian Krebs first reported the breach on Tuesday. Krebs said he first noticed something was wrong when he heard from sources that a pattern of fraudulent transactions on cards had all been traced back to the fast food chain. Hackers could use the information on the card's magnetic strip to copy data, clone the cards, and then make counterfeit high-priced purchases. Krebs noted that it was unclear whether all 5 million cards being sold on the internet are solely from Sonic, and that there are some indications another restaurant may have been impacted by the same hackers. Sonic, with 3,600 locations in 45 states, is investigating the breach. The last fast food chain to be impacted by a hack of this magnitude was Wendy's last year, which had more than 1,000 locations compromised. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Puerto Rico officials pressed the Trump administration on Wednesday to lift a ban on foreign shipping between American ports and the U.S. island territory struggling with fuel, water, and medical supply shortages 1 week after Hurricane Maria struck. Even as federal emergency management authorities and the U.S. military stepped up relief efforts, many residents on the island of nearly 3.5 million people voiced exasperation at the prolonged lack of electricity, reliable drinking supplies, and other essentials. Maria, the most powerful hurricane hurricane to hit Puerto Rico in nearly 90 years, swept across the island last Wednesday with roof-ripping winds, knocking out the territory's entire power grid, unleashing severe flooding and causing widespread heavy damage to homes and infrastructure. The storm claimed more than 30 lives across the Caribbean, including at least 16 in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rosselló called the devastation an unprecedented natural disaster. Medical experts said that they were concerned about a looming public health crisis posed by the island's crippled water and sewage treatment system. The delivery of relief supplies has been complicated by disruption of telephone service and roads still damaged by flooding or left impassable by fallen trees and other debris. Desperate residents have waited hours in long lines for deliveries of diesel fuel to power generators and gasoline to fill empty automobile tanks. Some water supply trucks have been mobbed. Rosselló has strongly praised the response of U.S. President Donald Trump, defending the Republican administration against complaints of being slow to act and showing too little concern. On Wednesday, however, the governor and others pushed Trump to temporarily waive the Jones Act, a 1920 law requiring all goods shipped between U.S. ports be carried on U.S.-owned and operated vessels. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. According to a Stanford University study released Wednesday, there is no logical reason why planes are able to fly. Reiterating that they fully understand the concepts of lift, thrust, and propulsion, lead physicists told reporters they were still unable to reasonably explain how a large 500,000-pound object is capable of staying up in the air without falling.
We've come up with several theories, including wind propulsion, some sort of gravity suspension effect, also the possibility that the clouds pull the plane skyward, but beyond that, just don't understand how a large metal tube could just kind of float in the air like that. And it's going at like 500 miles per hour, which means that when I'm on a plane, I'm also going 500 miles per hour? That's crazy. Why is my hair blowing back and forth?
The Stanford team added they plan to devote the next 2 years to a new study on why telephones can hear. In other news, an urban planner is stuck in traffic of his own design, and a kid screams behind a passenger during an entire plane crash. Visit theonion.com/newsbeat for more.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We'll give you the toll-free call-in line here in just a moment where you can join us on the radio. The us in studio tonight is Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And Chris, me and you earlier today were actually talking about something that, obviously, we're about to start talking about right now. Specifically, the reason this is even in the news at the moment is because Puerto Rico, a little over a week ago, was absolutely devastated by Hurricane Maria. And when I say absolutely devastated, I don't just mean a few buildings got knocked over. Basically, the entire island is out of power. The airport is only functional during daylight hours because there's no power. They're running out of fuel. They're running out of supplies. They're running out of food. And there are about 3.5 million people that live in Puerto Rico that they need help. They really do need help. And there are businesses that are not American businesses that want to help. But unfortunately, there's a law that's been on the books for about 100 years that has hindered that help from arriving. That law being the Jones Act.
Right, and this isn't the first time that the Jones Act has affected American citizens negatively.
It affects American citizens in Hawaii every day.
Right, it affects citizens.
The Jones Act?
That's a good question. So the Jones Act says, and I always get this wrong, so I'm looking at Darryl because he's Mr. Facts, but the Jones Act restricts what types of ships can travel between U.S. ports, and it says that they have to be American-flagged ships if they travel between American Port A and American Port B.
Without stopping at foreign Port C in between. So
right. No, just we're talking about point A to point B.
Right. So if you go from Miami to
San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Hold on.
Let's use that example.
If you go from Miami to Nassau, Bahamas to San Juan, Puerto Rico, that's fine. It can be any vessel from anywhere in the world. But if you just want to go from Miami to San Juan, Puerto Rico without stopping in a foreign country, it must be a boat or vessel that has been flagged in the United States, meaning that it's an American company.
It's registered here.
It's registered here. So most cruise lines, for instance, you will notice are not American flagged ships.
Right.
Really?
Norwegian Cruise Line. Carnival is flagged out of somewhere else.
Yeah, a lot of them, they'll flag out of like Liberia and things like that for tax reasons.
The only one that I can think of that is an American flagged cruise line.
The Disney.
I don't even think Disney is American.
There's nothing more
American.
Oh, there's nothing more American than Disney.
Yeah.
Fact check. I think that's fake news.
I'm going to look it up.
I'll check this, but again, I said the only one that I can think of, Norwegian American, because they go between the Hawaiian Islands.
That's interesting. Yeah, and it would. And you think about Hawaii. I mean, really. So all the ships in the world,
right?
And there are hundreds of thousands.
How Hawaiians wind up getting affected by the Jones Act.
Yeah, but let's talk about that for a second.
Yes.
Let's say there's a big bunch of cheap imported goods coming from China.
Yep.
And boy, it would sure be great if they could stop in Hawaii, drop some of those off. They can do that. They can't. They can. They can't.
From China to Hawaii,
they could.
They can. But there's something if it's a Chinese ship that has just dropped a load of stuff in San Francisco.
Right.
And they're going back to China.
This sounds really efficient.
You're can't stop in Hawaii.
But I'm going from San Francisco to China. I'm going right by Hawaii. Why can't I take some goods and drop them off in Hawaii?
Because protectionism.
Because of the Jones Act. So that eliminates that. And it's a horrible protectionist scheme. By protectionist, we mean that a certain industry has certain laws that have been passed that benefit it. And we complain, Trump's talking about throwing big tariffs on Bombardier jets, which is out of Canada. Trump has hit the timber industry in Canada with massive tariffs, because, God forbid, they're doing some protectionist stuff up there to protect their own industries. They're helping subsidize them. We do the same thing.
I guess I never really realized there was all this going on in the waters there with all these ships.
It's a crazy one, isn't it?
I did fact check that for you about the Disney cruises.
Yeah.
And it actually says, however, it is surprising that under the flags of convenience, Disney have registered their vessels in the Bahamas. And the minute each passenger steps onto the ship, they are automatically outside the jurisdiction of the United States and at the mercy of the cruise lines.
Interesting.
Yep, sounds about accurate. We'll actually jump into an article because there's been a update of sorts on the Jones Act. We'll get into that. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450 free. So I went to pull up an article from Reuters that I read last night and again early this morning when I recorded the daily newscast that I do, that if you listen to the Liberty Radio Network, you will hear at the top of the hour. If you're listening on the radio, you're not hearing the newscast that I produce, but you could find that at fppradio.com. So the story, again, from Reuters, originally this morning, the governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rossello, had actually put out a call to the White House urging President Trump to lift, at least temporarily, lift the Jones Act, to allow aid to go to the nearly 3.5 million people in Puerto Rico that are affected by Hurricane Maria. Again, people without power, people running out of diesel for their generators, people running out of clean water, people running out of food, people that are in Puerto Rico on vacation that want to get home but can't get off the island because the airport, again, is only operational during daylight hours because none of the runway lights work.
Yep.
These people need help. They don't need federal aid thrown at them. They need supplies. They need food. They need water. They need help.
Yeah.
And again, I've heard stories of cruise lines that have loaded up their boats with water, with food, with clothing, only to be told, yeah, sorry, you can't go there.
Yeah, and while it's great news that this ban has been lifted on this ridiculous protectionist law, this has been debated since how long ago?
1920.
Well, I'm talking about Puerto Rico being hit by which hurricane?
Maria.
Maria.
A week. It's been over a week.
It's been over a week. So imagine you sitting at home or in your car. Where you live has just been pretty much leveled, destroyed by a hurricane. Your children are running out of fresh water. They have no food. You don't know what you're going to do. There's no power. There's no one to call. All your communications are out. And you know that a couple 100 miles away, the U.S., you hear reports of these cruise lines filling up all this stuff to bring to help save lives because people are dying. And why can't they come? Because of a stupid law that's
been on the books for almost 100 years.
This is the kind of crap that our government does and has done forever that just needs to be wiped off of the books. It needs to go away, never to return.
A friend of mine that I actually grew up with, she posted on Facebook 2 days ago a picture of her sister and her niece, and I guess they're in Puerto Rico with her brother-in-law or whatever, and they haven't heard from him since September 19th.
That
So
sounds
they've
about
been
accurate
calling, I
because telephone service is out.
Yeah.
The radar that the airport uses, it's down. They've got to cut through 2 miles of fallen trees just to get to it to try to wind up getting it operational again.
It's nuts.
They're saying it's probably going to be a month before the airport is even, fully functional. And the entire electrical grid in Puerto Rico out of service.
People ask me why I sometimes sound anti-government. Crap like this.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE.
Called it elephant skin. It was rough, wrinkly, like a Brillo pad.
His hair was falling out in clumps.
Petey stopped eating and all his hair fell out.
Our golden retriever, Sundance, he scratched incessantly. There was hair all over.
DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dinovite is nutrition.
Within 2 weeks, the shedding slowed down to almost none. The scratching went away after a few days, and Sundance's coat was starting to get shiny and glossy.
It's a 180 turnaround. His skin has cleared up. He's not in pain.
If your dog has shedding, dry skin, excessive scratching,
do the Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
I got my Blink home security system delivered right to my door. I downloaded the app and it walked me right through the easy setup. Even with my complicated router system, I was done in like 10 minutes. Now it notifies me whenever something moves in front of the wireless cameras, or I can just check it whenever I want right from my phone. And I got you a deal. Get 3 Blink cams for what the other guys charge you for 1, plus an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy. Fees are low and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Dash is set up to succeed where other platforms have failed. Give it a try. Dash.org. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at Dash.org.
Does this ever happen to you? Moments after you're introduced to someone, you forget his or her name. It's a common faux pas you'll want to avoid, especially if you're a job seeker. And even if you're not, here's a tip. As you are being introduced, and while you're still shaking hands, smiling, and making eye contact, say the person's name aloud. Not only does that make a deposit in your memory bank, it acknowledges the other person. And that is more than a nuance, as is maintaining eye contact. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the Jones Act and how it's harming not just Americans, but really a bunch of people and a bunch of businesses. But something that is actually good for everybody is decentralized currency. And if you want to mine some Bitcoin, you can do that at pool.bitcoin.com. Forget about the cost of constant equipment upgrades, equipment maintenance, paying for expensive equipment, paying for the electricity for that expensive equipment. You can do it all from the comfort of your home. Again, at pool.bitcoin.com. There's a 100% uptime guarantee. The website is easy to use, and you can even calculate what you might make right there on the website, pool.bitcoin.com. Not just that, but you can also help steer Bitcoin towards the liberating currency that Satoshi Nakamoto meant it to be. You're not just making money at pool.bitcoin.com. You're doing activism while you sleep. pool.bitcoin.com. So again, we're talking about the Jones Act because Puerto Rico absolutely devastated by a hurricane a little over a week ago, and well, they're struggling to get supplies into the country because this law that's been on the books for about 100 years prevents foreign flagged vessels from going from one U.S. port to another U.S. port. So if, let's just say, Norwegian Cruise Line said, you know what, we're going to cancel one of our 3-day cruises, load the boat up with food, clothing, water, diesel, because, again, people running out of diesel for their generators. Just load our boat up with all the supplies that you can put on this thing to where it's not going to sink, and we're going straight to San Juan. U.S. federal law says can't do that unless you stop at a foreign port first, because Norwegian, you don't have an American flag on all of your paperwork there. Only American flagged vessels can sail directly between U.S. ports. Luckily, and on the one hand, luckily it's been waived temporarily. Unfortunately, it's not a permanent waiver or repeal of the law.
Right.
But it has been waived.
Yeah.
Temporarily for this specific situation.
Right. And when it's been waived in the past, it has been waived before.
Well, that's good.
It is in response to some sort of disaster, some emergency. So the government will go, you know what, we're such a big, nice, warm, fuzzy, loving government. We'll waive the Jones Act for
Now, have you
this
guys
period of
read
time.
about how the Puerto Rican government is receiving those goods and what they're gonna do with them? You know what I mean?
I haven't.
I don't know how they are planning on, centrally distributing stuff, if that's the question. But the governor of Puerto Rico has requested that the Jones Act be waived just to allow the goods to even get into Puerto Rico. So, Chris, is there more to the update? I know you shared something from CNN earlier that's fairly lengthy, but I'm not sure how much of this we've already covered and what hasn't been.
We can kind of give the facts of this. The White House has authorized a waiver to loosen shipping rules regarding Puerto Rico that island officials say would be a significant help for recovery efforts from Hurricane Maria. At the request of the governor down there, POTUS has authorized the Jones Act to be waived for Puerto Rico. It will go into effect immediately. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders tweeted Thursday morning. Acting Deputy of Homeland Security Secretary Elaine Duke said the waiver will be in effect for 10 days and will cover all products being shipped to Puerto Rico, according to a release from that department. The waiver will guarantee the needed equipment to repair infrastructure damaged by the storm and restore emergency services, Duke said in a news release. After the 10-day period, the waiver can be extended if needed. DHS spokesman David Lepan told CNN. He said the waiver was approved after it was determined that doing so was in the interest of national defense. Earlier Thursday, Puerto Rican Governor Ricardo Rossello said he had asked the White House to loosen the regulations. Excuse me? Hold on. Did I just read what I think I said? He said the waiver was approved after it was determined that doing so was in the interest of national defense.
What?
Anybody want to take a swing at that?
I'm baffled, and I'm reading here because I did skip down a little bit. Apparently, the Jones Act was also waived to wind up helping Texans and Floridians after being hit by Hurricane Harvey and Irma.
Right.
Guarantee you that Houstonians didn't have to wait 10 days for the Jones Act to be temporarily lifted.
Right. So basically, Homeland Security has come forward and said, well, we think it's in our national defense interest to lift this. What a crock.
Right.
What the only interest you need is that people are dying.
Right.
That should be the extent of the conversation. Why are we doing this? Because we have a law that is, in essence, killing people.
And this just proves that, or rather gives more evidence that the people of Puerto Rico are second-class U.S. citizens.
Sure.
It really does. Because
I mean, do we know, though, for sure how long it took to approve that waiver for the other two places? I mean,
I don't. I'd like to find that out.
I don't, but the article says quickly, and 10 days sure as hell ain't quick. Let's go to the phones. We've got Ricky calling in on Skype. Ricky, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Good evening there, Brother Darryl, and it's Brother Chris and Sister Heather, is it not?
Yeah,
how are you, Ricky? Good to hear from you.
I'm doing okay. Quick little point I wanted to throw at you, Chris, before I start in tonight, because Puerto Rico is really pissing me off and all this madness that you were just discussing.
Okay.
Our last discussion when I was talking about states and ofs and thes, I don't know if you got a chance to take a look at that, a peek, but one of the things you'll notice is, and this might help you out, the word state is capitalized. Very important, punctuation and things like that.
Yep, distinct. Yep.
Very. Okay. Now on to Puerto Rico. President Jackass, never ceases to amaze me. And as far as it's interesting because I don't know if you mentioned, that would be the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico there, Brother Darryl.
Yes, it is a Commonwealth. I've mentioned that numerous times before. Continue with your thought.
Okay, well, here's my thought. I'm going on 44, and I've heard this tossing back and forth. And then you hear this one here, the crazy Confederate talking about blowing it away. Now, these are the things that have been going through Puerto Rico's mind, and have been on and off, on and off, on and off. And you really can't win. And you got to ask yourself, are they in a worse position or a better one? You know what I mean? I mean, they're in a bad position now, but...
Right.
Ricky, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. What are your thoughts on the waiver of the Jones Act? And do you think it just needs to wind up being repealed completely? Because I do. This is Free Talk Live.
You've heard the phrase, you are what you eat? Not true. Actually, you are what you can absorb. So if the vitamins and supplements you now take are not being absorbed, what good are they? Introducing Protovite, proprietary liquid system that allows premium quality nutrients to positively affect the blood in an astonishing 5 minutes. Watch our amazing 2-minute live blood cell video at TrueHealthFacts.com. That's TrueHealthFacts.com. Then call 502-410-3411. Protovite is nutrition you can feel. Protovite is nutrition that gets in.
Dr. Carolyn Dean wants you to have a free chapter of her new book, The Magnesium Miracle 2nd Edition, and it's available at magmiracle.com. In your free chapter, Dr. Carolyn Dean explains how magnesium is essential to support the structure and function and overall health of your body. Your free chapter is your guide to learn how to support your heart, bone, metabolic, lung, and mental health with this powerful mineral. The Magnesium Miracle 2nd Edition is available on Amazon, but right now get a free chapter at magmiracle.com, spelled M-A-G, miracle.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Homeland Security teaching the Boy Scouts of America to do black ops missions and destroy
Hold on a second.
veterans returning.
Did you just say that they are training the Boy Scouts to do black op missions?
Of course they are. There's funding from the Department of Homeland Security. There's grants and
Wait, what kind of black ops are we talking about here? Just like spying on the neighbors, seeing if they're putting their recycling in the wrong bin, or what?
It goes deeper than that. To teach the 12 and 13, 14-year-olds how to do paintball stuff, and the target is supposedly disgruntled veterans.
What?
They're preparing them to take on returning veterans that have been labeled disgruntled. That's part of the indoctrination.
They're preparing the Boy Scouts to take them on? Like what, in a firefight? To hand-to-hand combat?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern. Live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we'll get back to the topic at hand, which is about the Jones Act. But first, I've got a request. If you listen to the podcast version of this radio program, and yes, there actually is a podcast version of this radio show. Podcast version has been around, well, basically since podcasts have been a thing. And we just want to ask, leave us an honest review. Because what these reviews do, especially on iTunes, which is, I think, still the largest source that people use for finding podcasts, the more reviews you have, and especially the higher the ranking of those reviews, the better chance that more people will just stumble across the show. So if you're listening to the podcast, chances are you want more people to get exposed to the ideas of liberty. So leave us a review. Subscribe if you're using a podcatcher. If you're already using a podcatcher, to subscribe, thank you. If you've already left a review, thank you. If you've not done either, help us out. So let's get back into this discussion. And again, it's about a law that's been on the books for nearly 100 years.
Yeah.
And all the various ways that it winds up, hurting Americans.
Yep.
And the reason that it's really in the news right now is because the Jones Act was temporarily waived to wind up allowing the people of Puerto Rico, who are American citizens, it allows them to wind up getting some relief that they need. And by relief, I mean clean water, fuel for their generators, fuel for their vehicles to be able to travel around the island, to try to remove debris off of roads,
Right.
get telephone lines back up again. The infrastructure of Puerto Rico has been decimated. Again, the airport is only active during daylight hours because they still don't really have reliable electricity. So the runway lights not working, the radar not working. Got to cut through 2 miles of downed trees and debris just to get to the radar site to be able to then start working on the radar. And again, report that I read earlier today says it's probably going to be a month before they even get that up and running.
Right. So people may be wondering, I mean, is this just another case, government bureaucracy, things move slow, 10 days later, somebody in the government finally says, okay, we're going to allow foreign ships to travel between U.S. ports because that's what the Jones Law prohibits. It prohibits a foreign flag ship from traveling from one U.S. port directly to another without
Correct.
hitting another country. But the answer to that question I just asked, is no. This is from a Newsweek story from last week. Trump said he was initially considering whether to implement a temporary waiver of the Jones Act to allow it, meaning traffic to flow from U.S. ports directly to Puerto Rico on foreign flag ships, but decided against doing so as, quote, a lot of people that work in the shipping industry don't want the Jones Act lifted, end quote. So what this basically comes down to is your president saying, well, I talked to a lot of people in this protected industry, shipping, U.S. shipping, and they would rather see people die in Puerto Rico, I guess.
But again,
Can I ask something?
Go ahead.
What,
Yeah, go ahead.
Why was it originally passed? Like, what was the purpose
Protectionism.
of what?
The U.S. shipping
Protectionism.
industry.
Yeah, but like,
So the U.S. shipping industry was facing competition.
It was
because
passed in 1920, which was that period of time of America first. We've got to protect American jobs from foreign competition, and we can't have foreign people going from one place in America to another place in America. So,
Right.
so they don't want
So
foreign ships delivering goods?
This is still the same thing that occurs today. You have an industry like shipping, and you have a competitor that comes in that challenges it. So I don't know what it was back then, but let's just say it was Dutch ships. The Dutch shipping companies decided that America was a really good opportunity. So, hey, let's send a couple boats over there. Let's start doing that run between Philadelphia and New York because that's really lucrative. We have extra space anyway. and we'll start doing that run. And we can probably do it cheaper than the Americans can do it.
So basically, this act would make the Dutch have to go from like there to New York and back, and then back. Like they can't do it all in one.
They could go from Philly to Bermuda,
right? Philly
to somewhere in the U.S.
Right,
but they could go.
So
from
in between every
New York.
U.S. stop, they have to go to a foreign one.
Correct.
Yeah, and again, the example that I gave earlier in the show, Hawaii. Right in the middle of the Pacific. If you're, taking a boat from San Francisco to China, it would make sense to drop some goods off in Hawaii on the way to China. But the Jones Act says that if that's a foreign flagged vessel, they are not allowed to do so.
Well, then I don't get it then, because wouldn't it be more beneficial to Americans to lift the Jones Act, because then we'd have more access to like cheaper goods.
But it's not beneficial to the American shipping industry.
Right. And that's what this comes down to. This isn't about what makes sense economically. This is about cronyism.
Lifting the sugar tariffs would benefit the American people, but it would not benefit
the American sugar growers.
The very small number of American sugar growers. It would not benefit the producers of corn because, that's subsidized. Grow a lot of corn, turn some of it into high fructose corn syrup, sell that off to Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, and all of the other cola manufacturers.
But basically, when we talk about the Jones Act and the fact that it's killing people and lack of lifting this ban has undoubtedly caused deaths in Puerto Rico. What we're talking about is
they lifted it fairly quickly after Harvey and Irma.
Yeah, not my point though. I understand where you're going with that, and you're absolutely right. But what this really is about is cronyism, and too many on the left will look at this and go, this is a failure of capitalism. This doesn't work. No, it's not capitalism. It's cronyism. It's people in industry, the oligarchy, the 1%, pulling the strings of politicians to get laws passed that they want to protect their industries. This happens in banking, happens in the pharmaceutical industry, happens in big farming. It happens all over the place, and it also happens in shipping. And that's why we have stupid laws like this on the books.
Now, let's actually talk to some of those on the left. Article from CNN Money, and most people that are, quote unquote, on the right would say CNN leftist propaganda. Well, CNN says that critics of the Jones Act say that it cost American jobs by encouraging residents in Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Hawaii to buy foreign-made goods that are shipped on foreign-flagged vessels rather than buying goods made in America.
Right.
Tom Kloza, chief oil analyst for Oil Price Information Services, said that's what happens when it comes to gas and other fuels. He says, quote, Puerto Rico typically gets most of its gas from foreign sources, Canada and Europe. Jones Act ships are so expensive that it doesn't make sense to buy gasoline from the United States refineries. So he says a waiver of the Jones Act would not bring much more fuel to the island since Puerto Rico gets what it needs from other countries. But plenty of other things are much more expensive in Puerto Rico because of the Jones Act.
Of course.
Cars, for instance, cost about 40% more in Puerto Rico than they do on the U.S. mainland. Partly because of this law. It also affects other necessities. And then they go in to talk about a study that was done in Puerto Rico about the Jones Act, found that it winds up costing the island about $537 million per year.
Yeah, and again, CNN's going to have some stuff, and I'm reading articles from CNN that occasionally get some things that I agree with. What I'm saying is when you think about these things, there's a lot of people out there that will jump right to the capitalistic system fails. We must have more government control. And the problem is the government control and cronyism. It's not capitalism.
Right, and that's why I wanted to point out, here's what CNN's reporting, and this is, speaking to those people on the left that might try to blame free market for something that's a government-created problem. This is Free Talk Live, 855, 450 free.
Have you wanted to get into Bitcoin mining but don't want to deal with the hassle and frustration of operating the mining hardware? Let pool.bitcoin.com handle it for you like I did. Just visit pool.bitcoin.com and use their calculator to estimate what you could end up making. You get to decide which Bitcoin you want to mine. If you already have mining equipment, you're invited to join pool.bitcoin.com. Get all the details and get started mining Bitcoin at pool.bitcoin.com.
This is Ed Lukasevic.
And Cindy Lukasevic at Dinovite.
This year, whenever you order a 90-day supply of Dinovite for your dog, we'll send you a free sample of one of the other doggy things we make.
Like Lico Chaps, Super Mega Fish Oil, or Doggo Suds Shampoo.
What's on your dog's wish list?
We'll offer a different freebie each week at Dinovite.com.
Don't you just love the sound of healthy, happy dogs?
Dinovite is nutrition.
Dinovite for life.
DINOVITE.com.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business. So make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855 450 free. That's 855 450 3733. In studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And I've got a question for both of you.
Okay.
Feel free to answer. Are you getting 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day?
I get 12 servings of meat.
But does that include 5 servings of fruits and vegetables?
How many servings are in a banana?
I'm pretty sure.
A banana has I believe 1 serving.
Okay, I had a banana today.
So
8?
A.
No, 1.
I thought you said
she had
8.
1.
Yeah, I'm a monkey. I ate like 8 bananas.
Well, that is possible, but that means that you're with the vast majority. Because only about 10% of people do get 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. And there's actually a preponderance of research that shows that you really need 10 servings a day. That's nearly a gallon of fruits and vegetables in their raw form every day, and only about 1% of the population does that. What's the prize for accomplishing this feat? Protection against obesity, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and cancer, plus enough antioxidants to neutralize all 5 of the known free radicals. I've been getting my 10 servings of fruits and vegetables, and I don't like vegetables, but I'm doing this, I'm kind of cheating. I've been using Fruit and Veggie Total. It's made from the same people that make Whole Food Multi-Complete, and you can cheat along with me and actually get healthy. So join me in this goal of eating better, losing weight, living longer, and feeling better.
No, what's it called?
I'm glad you asked. It is Fruit and Veggie Total.
Is that a cereal?
It is not a cereal.
That's what I thought when I heard it, too.
It's a powder that, I put it in my smoothies every morning. 1 scoop is 5 servings. 2 scoops is 10 servings. So go to simplifymysupplements.com, buy some Fruit and Veggie Total. And if you use coupon code FTL, as in Free Talk Live, you save 10% on your order. Plus, they give you a free shaker bottle on that first order. Simplifymysupplements.com, code FTL. So we're going to change gears. We had been talking about the Jones Act and how it winds up hurting Americans under the guise of protecting certain industries. And yeah, it might wind up protecting the shipping industry, but it winds up, again, according to a study about 7 years ago from the University of Puerto Rico, it winds up costing Puerto Ricans $537 million every year. But we're going to change gears, but your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. Chris, remember a couple of weeks ago, there was that story out of Utah where several weeks after this assault of a nurse happened, the body cam footage came up and showed this nurse being assaulted, but now the police are upset that people saw what they did.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people saw this video. The nurse was being asked repeatedly by a law enforcement officer to allow them to draw blood. I think it was it for a sobriety test or something?
Sobriety test of a victim of a car crash. Right. So the police were in a high-speed chase with someone.
Right.
That person swerved into the lane that this guy was driving his big truck in, 18-wheeler sort of truck, smashed into that. So this guy, not the person being pursued by the cops,
right?
But the cops wanted to do a sobriety test on him because if there was any substance in his body, they could wind up blaming him for the crash and not themselves for going on this high-speed chase.
Right.
And well, this woman called up her supervisor and, hey, supervisor guy, these cops, they want to pull some blood. And I know what the policy is. The policy is that the person either has to be under arrest, they have to have a warrant, or the person has to give consent.
And they could.
This person is unconscious. He cannot consent, and they don't have a warrant, and he's not under arrest. Please advise, Mr. Supervisor. And the supervisor says, well, you know the policy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let them take the blood. And turns out that the guy whose blood that they were trying to take was himself a police officer.
Yep.
Part-time reserve in some neighboring town. The nurse here, and, it's one of these sort of things to where certain people with
and wasn't
certain
the cop that arrested her too was also a part-time ambulance or transporter or
he
something,
was part-time EMT,
right?
Wound up being suspended from that job. I think actually fired from that job, suspended from the police job.
Right.
But this nurse, former U.S. Olympian, and some people will just look, oh, well, she was a former Olympian, so therefore she gets elevated above just regular nurse to where, like national hero nurse.
Right. Super nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some in the police departments were not happy that dash cam footage went out, and the first people that usually pipe up when police aren't happy about something are the police unions.
Now, does anybody know if they ended up getting the blood from the patient?
They did not.
They did not. Okay, that's good,
probably
though.
eventually they got whatever they needed. But it didn't happen that night, and that's for sure.
I don't think
so. They never went
did.
back in and demanded that somebody else get it.
Well, and see, this is the thing, because the story kind of leaves out what happened after the nurse was arrested and then the police left the hospital.
Yeah.
And based on that limited knowledge, one would think that if they took the guy to another hospital and drew blood, that would have been included in a story.
Yeah, let's hop into this, and we'll fill in the blanks as you guys can dig this stuff up as I go. But police union complains that public got to see them roughing up Utah nurse. The head of Salt Lake Police Association has watched the country's outrage over the videos showing a nurse getting arrested for refusing to draw a man's blood without a warrant, and has decided the correct response is to complain that the public got to see what its officers did. Union head Stephen Hartney sent a letter to the city mayor and and police chief to complain video of the brief arrest of nurse Alex Wubbles has made, quote, pariahs, unquote, of Detective Jeff Payne and his watch commander at the time of the incident, Lieutenant James Tracy. Wubble became an instant celebrity on Labor Day weekend after she released police body camera footage showing Payne very forcefully arresting her at University of Utah Hospital because she refused his demand that she draw blood from an unconscious victim of a nasty high-speed car crash. The patient, William Gray, was not a suspect nor involved in the chase, and Payne didn't have a warrant. Wubbles, surrounded by staff at the hospital, explained that she was not permitted to draw the man's blood. Payne arrested her in what appeared on video to be sheer frustration at having been defied. Payne and Tracy have been placed on leave while the case was investigated. A couple of weeks ago, the city revealed an internal investigation. A civilian review board determined the two officers violated department policies.
Wait a minute.
What'd you find?
What did you find, Heather?
You have to use words.
This title, it was from a day ago. It says, patient at Center of Utah Nurses high-profile arrest over blood draw dies.
Oh.
What?
It says a hospital patient who a Utah nurse said she was protecting when she refused to allow police to draw his blood has died. William Gray, a commercial truck driver and reserve police officer, died late Monday of the injuries he suffered when a fiery July 26 crash left him with burns over nearly half his body. University of Utah Health spokeswoman Suzanne Winchester said Gray was unconscious at the Salt Lake City Hospital when police detective Jeff Payne asked to draw his blood hours after the crash. Nurse Alex Wubbles refused because hospital policy required a warrant or patient consent. Payne handcuffed her and dragged her outside.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
And
he died yesterday.
That's an oversimplification of she was handcuffed. No, she was assaulted and drug outside.
Yeah. Roughed up is a good term. Yeah, what else you got?
It says Gray was hauling a load of sand in northern Utah when a pickup truck speeding away from police crossed the center line and hit his truck head-on, causing an explosion. State police had been trying to pull over the pickup truck driver after several people called 911 to report he was driving recklessly. Gray was not suspected of any wrongdoing. The pickup driver, Marcos Torres, 26, died in the crash, and Utah police routinely collect such evidence from everyone involved in fatal crashes.
Wow.
Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you trust our economy? How about our banking system? Our president has stated we are sitting on a bubble right now, and that when the Fed raises interest rates, bad things are going to happen. Well, the Fed is raising rates here and now. There has never been a better time to turn your IRA or 401k into physical gold or silver with GSI Exchange. Call 833-GSI-GOLD. GSI Exchange can make this happen fast, and it's money you control, not the big banks. 833-GSI-GOLD. Ask about our bank failure survival guide and learn how your qualified IRA transfer can get you $1,500 in free physical gold or silver delivered right to your home. GSI Exchange has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Call GSI Exchange at 833-GSI-GOLD. That's 833-474-4653. Or visit us on the web at gsi.gold.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 28th, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.82 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,286 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 3.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $4,193. Antiwar.com reports the Kurdistan regional government has confirmed that 92% of voters supported secession in this week's referendum and are rejecting demands from the central government to surrender all their airports. The Abadi government of Iraq gave the Kurds 72 hours to surrender all their airports or face the closure of their airspace to the international community. The deadline for this handover is Friday, though it is unsurprisingly not going to happen. Iraq has subsequently been making the rounds, issuing requests to the rest of the world, asking them to comply with their demand to close Iraqi Kurdish airspace to punish the Kurds for keeping their airports. Turkey, unsurprisingly, given their hostility towards the Kurds, were Johnny on the spot to endorse this idea, announcing that they will be forbidding all flights into Iraqi Kurdistan starting on Friday. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports fast food chain Sonic confirmed on Wednesday that it had been the target of a data breach that could leave millions of customers' data at risk. Sonic issued a statement saying its credit card processors detected unusual activity involving credit cards used at their restaurants last week. The company said, "We are working to understand the nature and scope of this issue as we know how important it is to our guests. We immediately engaged third-party forensic experts and law enforcement when we heard from our processor." Journalist Brian Krebs first reported the breach on Tuesday. Krebs said he first noticed something was wrong when he heard from sources that a pattern of fraudulent transactions on cards had all been traced back to the fast food chain. Hackers could use the information on the card's magnetic strip to copy data, clone the cards, and then make counterfeit high-priced purchases. Krebs noted that it was unclear whether all 5 million cards being sold on the internet are solely from Sonic, and that there are some indications another restaurant may have been impacted by the same hackers. Sonic, with 3,600 locations in 45 states, is investigating the breach. The last fast food chain to be impacted by a hack of this magnitude was Wendy's last year, which had more than 1,000 locations compromised. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Puerto Rico officials pressed the Trump administration on Wednesday to lift a ban on foreign shipping between American ports and the U.S. island territory, struggling with fuel, water, and medical supply shortages 1 week after Hurricane Maria struck. Even as federal emergency management authorities and the U.S. military stepped up relief efforts, many residents on the island of nearly 3.5 million people voiced exasperation at the prolonged lack of electricity, reliable drinking supplies, and other essentials. Maria, the most powerful hurricane to hit Puerto Rico in nearly 90 years, swept across the island last Wednesday with roof-ripping winds, knocking out the territory's entire power grid, unleashing severe flooding and causing widespread heavy damage to homes and infrastructure. The storm claimed more than 30 lives across the Caribbean, including at least 16 in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rosselló called the devastation an unprecedented natural disaster. Medical experts said that they were concerned about a looming public health crisis posed by the island's crippled water and sewage treatment system. The delivery of relief supplies has been complicated by disruption of telephone service and roads still damaged by flooding or left impassable by fallen trees and other debris. Desperate residents have waited hours in long lines for deliveries of diesel fuel to power generators and gasoline to fill empty automobile tanks. Some water supply trucks have been mobbed. Rosselló has strongly praised the response of U.S. President Donald Trump, defending the Republican administration against complaints of being slow to act and showing too little concern. On Wednesday, however, the governor and others pushed Trump to temporarily waive the Jones Act, a 1920 law requiring all goods shipped between U.S. ports be carried on U.S.-owned and operated vessels. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Publicists everywhere agreed this week that the nation's celebrities are in dire need of more fame, stressing that all 6 billion of the world's populace should know every U.S. celebrity by name and face by now. Publicists are calling for an emergency influx of buzz, heat, press, and word of mouth to be administered to the nation's celebrities immediately in order to prevent crucial fame levels from becoming dangerously low. Novelist Edward Milligan told reporters this week that in his new book, By the Water's Edge, he has fleshed out in meticulous detail his own huge and stunningly shitty world. Using in-depth research and the power of his own imagination, Milligan was able to conjure out of thin air every hackneyed character, trite street name, and horseshit backstory in the fictional town of Connors Cove. The complete hack proudly said he has created a universe that readers will feel they can actually reach out and touch. Sources say the prolific writer has not yet been punched repeatedly in the face. In other news, McDonald's opens a new senior citizen play place.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Kicking off hour number 2 in studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we're talking about the nurse, and I know it's been a story that we covered a few weeks ago, but it's back in the news because, well, the police unions, they're not happy. Specifically, the Salt Lake Police Association, not happy that body cam footage of one of their officers roughing up a nurse at, I forget which hospital it was. I think it was University of Utah Hospital.
Correct.
Well, that video came out well over a month after she was assaulted. They're just not happy that it wound up coming out at all.
Right, and it didn't come out because the city released it. It came out because Wubble had requested it, Wubbles being the nurse.
Yes.
She had requested the video from the city, and they released it, probably following their own procedures for, it's like a Freedom of Information Act or
sort of thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and yep, again, the police union Head of the police union, Stephen Harvey, sent a letter to the city's mayor and police chief complaining that the video was released. And we just barely got into the actual update from Reason about this. Heather had the question of, did they ever draw blood from the guy?
Right.
And Heather, you wound up finding an update
from NBC, yeah.
Where apparently, and I knew that he was unconscious when he got to the hospital back in July. I don't think I remembered the severity of his
remember he was
injuries
burned
at the time.
on like most of his body. I
Right.
heard,
So
too.
let's back up and just repeat what the injuries were. And unfortunately, he wound up passing earlier this week.
Okay, so as far as this actually doesn't say what his injuries
Well,
were.
you
It just
said
says left
burned
him with
over
burns
50.
over nearly half his body.
Yeah.
So he finally succumbed to those injuries. But now it's basically just, it seems like the issue at hand now is whether or not, the footage should have been released as quickly as it was. And it seems like
a month after an incident is not quick.
Right. And Darryl, as you pointed out when we were talking during the pause, was, the police will release incriminating evidence of what they feel is incriminating. Let's talk about the case of Mal Hewer, where what was the gentleman's name who got shot?
Finicum, Lavoy Finicum.
Lavoy Finicum got shot.
Didn't they live stream that?
It was almost live streamed. It was like within an hour after it was done, they showed video from a drone over the place where they ambushed these guys.
Yep.
And showed a man getting shot. And it was, when the government does this is to taint juries.
They basically live streamed the Waco assault.
Sure. But that's the whole thing. The point is it's to taint juries. It's to put information out there that nobody can ignore, their evidence, so that everybody sees it, and that sways public opinion. It taints juries. It helps them get their conviction. God forbid when a U.S. citizen decides that, this wasn't right, I'm going to request some video of this to show people what actually happened.
Right.
And now the police are all bent out of shape because, oh, God, you can't just put that stuff out there without due process.
And again, this woman, Alex Woobles, she was assaulted, arrested, initially charged with resisting arrest. 20 minutes later, they dropped that charge. I believe she has a lawsuit against either the police department or the specific officers. I'm not entirely positive.
Or something, yeah.
But, on things like that, what do you need? You need evidence. Who has the evidence? Well, the police department had these body cams that they had their officers wear. Hey, I need to get this so that I can cite things exactly as they happen, so I can put this in my case here. And so she, again, a month after the incident, wound up getting the video, and that's how somehow it wound up getting released on the internet.
Well, this is interesting. The letter claims that the city had not followed, quote, an agreed upon and carefully scripted process for investigating the conduct of police officers. At the news conference, Hartney focused on if the city should have released the footage so soon after the state's Government Records Access and Management Act, considering the release, could have interfered with the internal affairs investigation. Well, Wubbles gained that videotape by using, or that recording, using that exact same law. So what? It's okay for her. It's not okay for her to use that, but it's okay for them to use it when it works out for them.
Right, and this is, just another case of there's one set of rules for them and one set of rules for everybody else.
Right. And from the same story, the city said they had no good reason to not deny the video footage to Wubbles. I don't doubt it.
Now, I wonder if that investigation is still ongoing, because according to my article here, it says that the Salt Lake Police Association president, Stephen Hartney, believes that the footage of the arrest shouldn't have been released until the investigation is complete. But sometimes those investigations can take months and months and months and months.
They usually last long enough for it to fade from the public view, fade from our collective memory, and then they'll do the what often happens. I'm not saying this happens all the time, but we put him on administrative leave. We put him on a desk job for a while, and he's done a great job, so we'll bring him back at full pay and everything else.
Right. And
happens too often.
Would not surprise me if their internal investigation lasts just long enough to where the statute of limitations run out to where nobody can wind up then filing a lawsuit of, well,
right.
If we continue with the lawsuit right now, that's going to interfere with this internal investigation, and we can't have that. So you've got to wait until the investigation is over before we can actually have this hearing in court. And then, you're waiting. Oh, statute of limitations ran out. And then we decide he did nothing wrong.
And I'll tell you, and people get really frustrated. I know a lot of people get really frustrated when they hear about these big civil lawsuit cases against police officers, Like the case hasn't even gone to trial, and already, the family's suing these officers for violating this person's civil rights. Well, the sad fact is, in today's system, that's almost the only way people can get any justice done.
Right. Let's look at Baltimore real quick, to where the family of Freddie Gray wound up getting, $6.5 million roughly,
something like that,
for a civil rights violation lawsuit, but there were no criminal convictions, and the Department of Justice said there's not enough evidence to show that any civil rights were violated. Well, why was there a $6.5 million settlement in a civil rights violation lawsuit?
And before somebody calls in to correct us, yes, we realize there's different burdens of proof for all sorts of different court systems and things like that, and we recognize that. But in the end, these civil suits, because of bad behavior by public officials, people that you and I pay their paychecks, it costs you in the end. It costs you huge.
Well,
and this is another reason why we need to hold our public officials accountable.
The DOJ, and I don't have the wording in front of me, but the DOJ report said because the officers didn't intend to kill Freddie Gray, and even though they may have acted recklessly, they didn't intend to kill him, so therefore no federal charges. If I acted recklessly and someone wound up dying, even though I didn't have intent, I can guarantee you I would be charged with at least manslaughter.
Right.
Dude, if you have too much to drink and you get behind the wheel and kill somebody, you'll be doing a couple years in jail.
That's what I was just going at. Yeah, probably more than a couple years.
Yeah, I know a friend of mine from high school or whatever, she ended up getting into a car accident with some of her friends, and somebody died in it, and they'd been drinking at a party, and she ended up doing time in jail for it.
And I'm sure it was probably more time in jail than a lot of police officers or other public officials face when they do the same thing.
Yeah. There's more on this article out of Salt Lake, plus your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Do you agree with the police chief here that they should not have released the video to the woman that was assaulted by the police? This is Free Talk Live.
Book Club Radio.
Today we're chatting with Mike Papantonio, leading trial lawyer and prolific author. His latest novel, Law and Vengeance, is a non-stop, action-packed legal thriller. We spoke with him about the book and the real-life issues that inform and inspire his writing.
I think the fiction is easier because the stories kind of tell themselves because of what I do. Now, it may, if I didn't do what I did for a living and I said, well, let me imagine what happens with a whistleblower. Let me imagine what happens when a pharmaceutical company kills people with a dangerous pharmaceutical. Let me imagine what happens when a mega corporation pollutes an entire waterway for 300,000 people. Let me imagine that. It's tough to imagine, but it's very easy to write when you're actually in the middle of that and you're experiencing what's happening firsthand. When you write a fiction book and it's based on reality, it just seems to very often write itself.
On the heels of the critically acclaimed legal thriller, Law and Disorder, comes Law and Vengeance, the latest novel from famed trial attorney Mike Papantonio. Law and Vengeance follows the law firm of Bergman Dichotomus, who is now in the crosshairs of a weapons manufacturer. But this is not a law firm that plays by all the rules. Based on a real case, Law and Vengeance, the riveting new legal thriller by Mike Papantonio, is available wherever books are sold.
Have you wanted to get into Bitcoin mining but don't want to deal with the hassle and frustration of operating the mining hardware? Let pool.bitcoin.com handle it for you like I did. Just visit pool.bitcoin.com and use their calculator to estimate what you could end up making. You get to decide which Bitcoin you want to mine. If you already have mining equipment, you're invited to join pool.bitcoin.com. Get all the details and get started mining Bitcoin at pool.bitcoin.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio on demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the police in Salt Lake City that, well, they're not happy that a nurse who was assaulted by a police officer in Salt Lake City wound up using their version of the Freedom of Information Act request. Specifically in Utah, it's called the GRAMA, the Government Records Access and Management Act. Well, they say that she shouldn't have been able to get the footage using the law that allows her to get the footage. We'll get back into the article. But how would you like to wind up being able to look at surveillance footage of your house on your phone? You can do that with the Blink home security system. You can get the system delivered right to your door. You can download an app and wind up, even if you have a somewhat complicated router system, you can still wind up being done in less than 15 minutes. And you can get notifications whenever anything moves in front of the wireless camera, or you can just wind up checking in and watching the camera on your phone. And, well, we've got a deal for you if you want this. You get 3 Blink cameras for what the other guys charge for 1, plus get an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. Blink Protect, all one word, blinkprotect.com/FTL. As in Free Talk Live. One more time, blinkprotect.com/FTL.
And a little bit more on this story. And we talked about how this is the nurse in Salt Lake City who was roughed up by a couple cops, placed under arrest because she refused to violate hospital rules,
Specifically, a policy that the hospital and the police department had signed, like an agreement of understanding of, here's the situations where we allow you to take blood from someone you bring here.
Right. And they went through all this, and Wubbles, the nurse, was the one who requested, video from the city, and they got it. It is kind of interesting, and this is more from the reason the two officers weren't even put on administrative leave until after Wubbles went public with the video footage. So in other words, the city had seen this, the police had seen it, but they didn't do anything. They didn't even take these cops off the street until the video was released.
Well, we've got to have a complaint before we can just put somebody on administrative leave.
Yeah. No,
and none
you
of the officers are going to file a complaint because that would be crossing the thin blue line and violating the brotherhood.
Exactly. And I am not anti-all police. I am anti-bad police, and I am also anti-police that watch bad police do this stuff and not do anything about it. Yeah. And while Wubbles was
the
police,
video shows police not doing anything about the bad police.
Right. And while Wubbles was pleased that the Salt Lake City police have been responsive to her claims of abuse, she and other hospital staff were concerned about other law enforcement agencies, including university police. Campus police did absolutely nothing during the arrest, and since then the hospitals implemented new policies to limit police access to parts of the hospital. Public pressure and response is important to holding police officers accountable. They are public servants, and Hartney's responses, like we've seen from other police union leaders, misuse the concept of due process to try to conceal information from the people to whom the police are supposed to answer.
Yes.
I mean, if I were the people that lived in that town, I'd be protesting the chief there. How did you see this footage a month before it went public and you never put those officers on leave? Wouldn't you think that would be the first thing he would do is hey, you guys totally should have, done X, Y, and Z. This woman showed you the policy. This is the law. You'd think the chief of all the officers would know a little bit more since he's the one in the higher position of authority.
And probably ultimately accountable for the actions of all of his officers.
Yeah, so and I think, in my opinion, in a situation like this is when the town needs to get off their butt, get out, protest on election day. On election day, don't just protest in the street, cause a little scene and then go back to your life. That does absolutely nothing.
Right.
Protest when it counts on election day and make sure the people investigating this don't get reelected. Campaign against these people that aren't doing their job, that aren't doing a good job policing the police, the community. This is proactive protesting. And I've been seeing a lot of protesters in the news, and it just seems like so much of it is wasted energy. It's so unorganized. It doesn't do anything. And we have, situations like this that it'll get a couple articles, right? People share it, but when it comes down to make a change, nothing happens.
Right. And I don't know when elections are, but maybe it's in November, maybe it's another month or so away, a little over a month. Maybe it's not until next year. And how many people are going to, because we're barraged by so much every day in the news, that these things just get lost in the shuffle. But
in what locations is the police chief an elected
I don't know.
Position?
You can,
I've never heard of such a thing.
Find out who has the authority to remove the police chief, and you demand them to take action.
I knew right where you were going with that, and I agree totally. If it's the mayor that appoints the police chief, then hold the mayor accountable for the police chief's actions.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think would be a much better way of holding government in general accountable, is if people stop blanket judging, quote unquote, government. Government itself is an idea, right? It's an idea, like communism, capitalism. These are all ideas. Government is not a tangible thing. You can't destroy government because it's like saying you can destroy an idea. You can't. If people are willing to conform,
if you could, somebody would have done it by now.
Mr. Creedy,
so you can't be like, we're gonna, fight government. No, that doesn't make any sense. That's like saying, you're gonna fight Christmas. Good luck.
They do try to fight Christmas every year.
You need to hold people accountable for their actions, and this is a perfect example. Hold the police accountable. If the chief of police isn't holding him accountable, hold accountable the person who holds the chief of police accountable.
Exactly.
We have a way that we can go about reform here and making changes. If people would just stop thinking standing on a soapbox, screaming into a megaphone, and protesting in the streets is going to solve anything.
And by the way, don't stop doing that. That's all well and good.
Just do it when it counts.
Don't put your megaphone down and go throw a rock through a shoe store so you can get a new set of Nikes. That stuff drives me nuts. I mean, but I hope that...
But speaking about the war on Christmas, when does Starbucks officially launch that this year?
Oh, that's right. That happened last year.
Oh, when they put Christmas...
They've never put Christmas
on.
They've never said Merry Christmas. They've never said Happy Birthday Jesus on their cups. And the fact that some people are like, well, their cup around the holidays not sufficiently celebrating the way I think they should celebrate, so therefore war on Christmas. It's utterly ridiculous.
Isn't it a red cup? Don't they switch over to like red cups during the Christmas season?
From green to red.
Okay, well, those are both Christmas colors.
But it doesn't say Happy Birthday, Jesus, and so therefore war on Christmas.
Yeah, all right.
You got to have some really thin skin to be offended by friggin' Christmas.
Well, I got to say, I hate describing memes, but I'm going to describe a meme today that I saw. And that was a picture of like the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And it's saying, are you a left snowflake or are you a right snowflake? That's how I feel lately.
Are you a left snowflake?
Well, I'm a Christian, so we're all snowflakes.
Snowflake. 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Or maybe you just want to build a snowman. This is Free Talk Live.
Dr. Carolyn Dean wants you to have a free chapter of her new book, The Magnesium Miracle 2nd Edition, and it's available at magmiracle.com. In your free chapter, Dr. Carolyn Dean explains how magnesium is essential to support the structure and function and overall health of your body. Your free chapter is your guide to learn how to support your heart, bone, metabolic, lung, and mental health with this powerful mineral. The Magnesium Miracle 2nd Edition is available on Amazon, but right now get a free chapter at magmiracle.com, spelled M-A-G, miracle.com.
With nearly 70 years of history engineering bunkers, today, Atlas Survival Shelters is still the authority. Atlas offers 18 different choices, from commercial tornado shelters to underground nuclear fallout shelters, starting at just $99.99 with 100% financing available, comfortable interiors, and state-of-the-art air filtration systems. Atlas Survival Shelters are the most popular private survival shelters in the world. Call 1-855-4BUNKER now or visit atlassurvivalshelters.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And maybe you're not listening to the show live because some of the radio stations that don't carry us live from 7 to 10 p.m. every night of the week. So maybe you're not able to call in when we are live, but you still want to give your feedback. Well, you can still do that through the audio on demand listen line. Just call 641-793-9660. I'll give that number to you one more time. Write it down unless you're driving, and then keep your hands on the wheel. 641-793-9660. And it's not just Free Talk Live that you can catch on this audio on demand listen line. It's all of the shows that are live on the Liberty Radio Network. Declare Your Independence, The Freedom Fiends, The Angel Clark Show, and several others. 641-793-9660. On demand, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then if you want to leave feedback, just press 0. And then several of the hosts wind up getting those messages. I'll give that number one more time. 641-793-9660. Talking about the nurse in Salt Lake that was assaulted back in July. The video came out about a month ago, and then the head of the police union just recently sent a letter to the Salt Lake City mayor and police chief complaining that the video of the arrest of Nurse Alex Woobles was made public, saying that it made pariahs out of Detective Jeff Payne and his watch commander at the time of the incident, Lieutenant James Tracy.
Just to be clear, these are guys that had no charges brought against them, faced no discipline until the video came out.
Correct, and I still don't think they have any criminal charges against them, but I do think she's filing a civil suit.
Right, but not even administrative admonition by the police up until the video came out.
Correct, and they're conducting an internal investigation, and again, the head of the police union is saying that by releasing the video before everything has wound up working its way through the system, it's violating their due process. Heather, you had a little bit more that you wanted to mention here about
because if you're just tuning in,
right,
we just found out while on the air that he actually, the officer,
he being the patient whose blood Nurse Woobles was not allowing to be drawn in violation of hospital policy.
Yes, passed away this past Monday, and I just found discovered this article today, and so this actually goes on to say a little bit about him because it sounds like he actually was a decent human being. It says Gray, 43, served with police in the southeastern Idaho city of Rigby. Chief Sam Tower said he was dedicated to the community of about 4,000 people and plowed snow from a sidewalk last winter so neighborhood kids wouldn't have to walk in the street. Bill was truly the best of mankind, Rigby police said in a Facebook post. Always willing to help, always willing to go the extra mile. Bill was a big man with a bigger heart. Everything about him was generous and kind. And Tower previously thanked Woobles for her effort to protect Gary's rights and prevent his blood from being drawn.
And to be clear, what they wanted to do was this man, who sounds like a decent guy, I agree with you there, has burns over almost 50% of his body, which is pretty much fatal.
Right.
And I cannot imagine, I can't even envision that. But she was stopping police officers who were demanding that somebody run over there and start sticking needles in that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for her, and
That poor
good
guy.
for her for, standing up. And I don't doubt that she knew that it was escalating. You can see it in the video, and that she could get in trouble. And she was facing guys that got guns with them.
And she called her supervisor because she knew what the policy was. She just wanted to make sure that the supervisor told the cops what the policy was, and, they didn't want to hear it.
Didn't care.
Like,
Let's
even
go
if
to the phones. We've got
I'll hold
Bob
that.
calling in from Milwaukee. Bob, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts. Hello, Bob in Milwaukee. Going once.
Bob?
I'm going to put Bob back on hold just in case there's some kind of issue on his end. I'll also reach out to the board op, find out if there's a problem somehow through the network. Is there a little bit more to touch on? Or Heather, you actually wanted to make a point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was kind of curious, thinking like when this officer made a recovery, what he would have had to say about the whole thing. And now it's kind of sad now that he's passed away, where he's not even going to get a chance to meet the nurse who defended his rights. You know what I mean?
It's kind of interesting. The majority of places I've lived have had good and decent police officers. And in a couple places I've lived, there have been some that just kind of weren't.
I think you're going to have that everywhere, though, because honestly, with a profession like that, it's going to attract like sociopaths. It's going to attract these like people that have mental health issues and a desire to have power over other people.
I agree with you on that. I just think I think that's probably the experience. Like I say that, and you're like, yeah, that's probably it. And I suspect most people probably know of a good police officer, and they probably are aware of one that's not. And, it's just one of those things that if you don't take care of the problem because you're afraid that this guy has power and might make your life horrible, you're not helping, and and it sucks. You don't want to be the person who narcs on somebody else, but sometimes, the only way to affect change is to make a little bit of a stink about things and hold these folks, make them do their jobs. They're not, if they're allowing this stuff to continue, then they're not doing their job as good police officers.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I was going to say, though, is like, I do think even in like, this police chase, I don't recall why they were chasing the guy to begin with. Do you guys?
I don't recall that being mentioned specifically at all, other than
because
it was some kind of high-speed chase, and if there's an accident and the person that winds up being the other party in the accident, if they're the ones at fault, then the police can say, well, we're not the reason the guy got into an accident.
Right.
The other person was drunk, and so for all we know, they swerved into the suspect here. Let's try Bob one more time. He did call back, so hopefully he's got a better connection now. Bob, calling in from Milwaukee, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hi again. Do you hear me now?
Yes, got you loud and clear. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Oh, good. 3 thoughts. Pick one or more. One, you guys are really understating the outrageousness, the absolute, complete, utter outrageousness of the Salt Lake City incident.
Mm-hmm.
Second line of thought, if you want to get into it.
Well, just go with the first one.
Okay. One, as I recall from my readings, intensive readings, at the time the incident was first occurred, the victim, who just passed, was in fact a cop. He was driving along the road doing his thing, and the opposing driver crossed the line and smashed into him. He was the victim. He was not the perpetrator.
Correct.
Second, he wasn't just a nice guy. He was actually, I believe it was a deputy or a reserve police officer.
Right.
Yep. Something that we've also suggested or mentioned on the air.
Okay. Third, while the altercation was going on, there was another officer standing there looking on.
Yeah.
Two of them.
Yeah,
The
two
nurse
of them.
and the supervisor advised them, guys, this isn't just hospital policy. This is the law. It's actually been adjudicated. I think that's the 7th. No, I don't remember which circuit. And at the Supreme Court. And they both said, you can do a breathalyzer. There's implied consent. But if you want to do an invasive procedure, you have to get authorization. That's usually called a warrant.
Right.
Now, the topic of whether the police can be criminally charged.
Hold that thought, Bob. We'll come right back.
From the first letter of Captain Mark. History is full of flowery documents claiming to limit the power of the crown, but these poetic social contracts have been impotent to prevent the predation. Limited government is a lie they use to keep us submissive. The crown cannot be trusted to abide by its founding charters, nor its treaties, nor even its own rules. The essence of the crown is centralized violence, and I've had enough. That's why I raised my black banner. I am no revolutionary. My aim is not to reset the cycle of violence, but to break it. My aim is an evolved society, invisible to the crown, not a new hierarchy, but decentralized networks with no central figure for the crown to target. If you want your servile life, keep it, but we will not submit to the crown's agenda. And when you are ready to stop being its beast of burden, ready for adventure and opportunity, join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Want revenge on the common housefly? Well, after 10,000 years, someone has finally come up with a better way. The Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun, which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic and no batteries required. $39.95 plus shipping and handling. Use discount code GCN and receive 15% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter and get your Bug Assault today.
North Korea openly threatens the U.S. and launches a new missile every other week. Their warhead of choice? Electromagnetic pulse. Such an event would cripple the U.S. power grid for years and leave millions in the dark. Are you ready? You can be with a Solarc EMP-hardened solar generator. Solarc works day in and day out to keep your essentials protected. You can have peace of mind knowing your power will be there when you most need it. Visit PortableSolarLLC.com to see EMP testing. That's PortableSolarLLC.com. Energy insurance for your family.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll get back to the phones here in just a second. But I've got a question for you. Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Consider joining Dash. Dash is digital cash. It's a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast, it can be private, it is easy, the fees are low, and transactions are fast, and in some cases can be confirmed instantly. You can pay anyone, anywhere in the world, anytime for just pennies. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Anyone can invest in Dash and earn rewards for helping run the network. Join Dash and help create a better financial system for everyone. Take back control over your financial future today. Find out more at dash.org. There's a lot of momentum behind Dash, so go right now to dash.org and find out why. Let's go back to the phones where we've got Bob calling in from Milwaukee. Continue with your thoughts.
So I was saying there is just an enormous amount of really damning evidence that this cop, that this cop was doing it wrong, really, really wrong.
Right.
And yet trying to convict him criminally or even civilly is just not going to happen. It's moot to ask the guy in blue standing next to you to snitch on you when the guy who you're asking to snitch, his life may be in my hands today. Tomorrow,
I get that.
It might be reversed.
Yeah, no.
There's no way, but it's not just that. It's that the cop who's accused, he has to work with the district attorney on a day-to-day basis. So they're not going to rock the boat. They can't afford to because they have to work really closely together.
So we should just accept all this stuff, right? Is that what we should do?
What's that?
We should just accept it?
I don't have a solution. I'm saying the problem is intractable.
It is. It's systemic. It is systemic. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, if anybody's got a solution to this, as best I can tell, the libertarian idea is that we need cops for internal protection. We need armies, meaning military force. I'm simplifying, oversimplifying.
Sure,
but basically, we need cops to protect us against peril from the inside. We need armies to protect us from perils on the outside. And everything else is a private matter that adjudicated in a court of law.
I think a lot of libertarians would go a step further and say there's nothing saying that either of those two require a government to do. In other words, you could have a private police force and you could hire mercenaries.
I don't know. My whole philosophy has always been like, I see government, like, I guess, because like I said, government is an idea, right? So it's kind of like even families are like governments on a small scale, right? You have a mom and a dad who makes the rules of the house, who, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, people don't like to hear it. Anarchists don't like to hear it. But yeah, families, systems are like governments.
The difference is,
if you have chores, if you have things that you do in your household, that's a working system. I mean, there's different ones out there, and we don't always like the ones that we get put in, we grow up in, we're born into. But, you know, we do what we can to change them and make them better and hope for the best.
You can opt out of families. You can't opt out of some government claiming jurisdiction over you.
No, it's an idea, though. You can communicate an alternative. You can't just, like I said, you can't just fight government. It's like fighting Christmas, but you can propose an alternative, and you have to sell it essentially to everybody else that's living amongst you.
No, I shouldn't have to. I should be able to look at the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and say, let's start off with you guys just following that.
That is your idea right now, and you are promoting it, and you are trying to sell it. And
it wasn't my idea. I didn't come up with it. People came up with that 250 years ago,
roughly,
ballpark.
Yeah, people came up with communism. People came up with capitalism. People came up with all kinds of other systems.
What's the solution when the kid goes to mom and mom says, "You're grounded for a week"? Is dad supposed to then reverse mom? We haven't solved that at the individual household level. I don't see a solution for it. No, I mean, the kids
I'm with you on that one.
But it doesn't happen that way. Mom is going to stand behind dad and vice versa.
I don't know. I'm a single parent, so I guess that makes me a dictator.
You are.
The kids have gone. Yeah. Democracy has no place in most families. When you're 18, you're still living under my roof. It's still an autocracy.
As much as I didn't like it when my parents said that, though, they're absolutely right. And I totally rebelled against it. I was like, what? Like, this is like an injustice. I should have rights, blah, blah, blah. But no, they're absolutely right. It was their house.
My mother. A lot of families, they do wind up. They do wind up doing something similar to democracy. And Bob, thank you for the call. They'll say, kids, what do you want for supper tonight? And the kids will say, I want candy. Well, mom and dad vote differently. You lose.
My vote is worth
that's
more
democracy.
than yours.
Well, I'm grateful my mom kept me alive all these years.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about the other day. I'm like, wow, my daughter's 8. Like, I've kept her alive for 8 years. Like, I'm doing it right.
I know.
Like, she's alive.
Jeez, I look back at my childhood and my adolescent years and go, wow,
You survived.
somehow.
Like, we're defying odds.
And I
like,
have
every
all
year
my
you get older, you're like a winner.
I have all my fingers. I mean, that was the one thing I was just like, how did I not like chop off a
That's
finger
so
doing
funny you said that.
something
My mom
stupid?
chopped off her middle finger on a log splitter.
See? Right?
Hold on. I've got to hear this story.
No, you don't want to hear it, but it actually is funny. So my mom, one day was cutting firewood. We have a log splitter or whatever, chopped down a tree, and she was cutting the log splitter. Well, apparently it caught the tip of her finger, ripped it right off so quickly that it just started bleeding everywhere. She didn't actually know she lost the tip of it. She just thought it got cut.
Right, just felt the pain.
So she just holds her wrist, right?
Right.
My stepfather, I guess, had come over and saw the blood and was like, quick, grab a paper towel, put it on it, and was like, it's bleeding everywhere. Like, let's go to the hospital. So they leave, thinking she was going to need stitches or something. Well, while they were gone, my sister, who was like 15 or 16 at the time, thought my mom was being like over dramatic and decided that she wanted to go out and look at the log splitter to see if she could find any blood. So my sister goes out there and she sees a piece of my mom's finger hanging on the log splitter. And she started hyperventilating in the backyard.
So did they get the finger to the hospital on ice? No.
So they ended up,
she's got a nub.
filing down her bone, it kind of like to the middle knuckle, and then they folded the skin over.
Right, so she got a nub.
Yeah, and it's her middle finger too. So she just goes around flipping people off now.
Right.
On the bright side, she gets to save 10% on a manicure.
There's only 2. There's not really a middle one.
Well, there's...
Yeah, like this
so
is
just
top.
the tip.
2 in the joint.
So it was like... So it got like sliced off just below the fingernail.
Just below the fingernail. Okay.
Right.
And then they had to grind down the bone though to like right about here.
Okay. So it's
they had to remove
like 2/3 of a
joint.
knuckle.
So she
or
has
2/3 of a finger.
2/3 of her finger.
Right.
Okay.
Either way.
Yeah.
Thank you for
She's lost more of a finger than I have.
Gross Anatomy with Heather. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it gets... I don't even know if she's going to want me sharing this. She put the tip of her finger in a jar.
Oh, who wouldn't? I would.
Oh, I totally
So
would.
I would too.
It's like pickled.
Put it in the jar, kind of like the shark on the weird science guy's desk.
This was like a couple years ago, so I was like living down on the Cape, and I like came up to visit. When I come up there, like I remember her telling me about it, but then all of a sudden she like puts the jar on the counter, and I like start running away. I'm like, no, I'm not looking at it.
What I would want like the glass globe filled with formaldehyde so I could wear it as a necklace.
Yes.
That would be really cool.
That's disgusting.
Let's go back to the phones. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Doug calling in from New Jersey. Doug, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Hey, guys. I was listening to the conversation the other day. You guys said you were up at Keene College, exit 18, Providence, Thurber's Ave, Johnson Wells. 2 of the girls knocked on my door in the dorm and said, hey, come on, pack up. We're going up by Keene. Some beautiful country up there. I thought I saw a moose when we went for a hike in the woods. Really nice.
Yeah, it is very nice up here.
Pretty country.
Oh, sure.
Is that what you called about?
Oh, actually, no. My name is Doug, Sittel, and you asked me...
Let me guess. You've got a YouTube channel. Thank you very much,
Is that
Doug.
the same guy?
Oh, come on. Well, that's all right. Somebody knows what the YouTube channel is. He always gets cut off on the call, so I never know what his YouTube channel is. We'll find it.
It's his name, and he said it and spelled it. So if you're really curious, you can find the archive of the call because I didn't hit the dump button to go back. So he just had his call dropped. But yeah, you can go back, listen to the archives if you're really curious what his YouTube channel is that he calls in to talk about all the time. Yeah.
He should buy some ad time. That's what
he should, and I've suggested that before.
Yeah.
And if you want to promote your YouTube channel or any other good or service that you have, contact Mark at freetalklive.com. That's MARK at freetalklive.com. Hour 3 coming up next. Your calls and thoughts welcome. And what do you think about firing NFL players that don't stand up for the national anthem? About 61% of Americans oppose it, but what do Republicans think?
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, the Mineral Doctor. You've heard me talk about 90 for Life for years. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids. You may not know this, that I've actually designed Arthrodex for animals. That's right. Your pets need 90 for Life too. Get this essential pet product by calling 877-279-9422. That's 877-279-9422. Again, 877-279-9422.
All survivalists accumulate supplies, but these supplies may be of little use if you don't have your health. Dr. Joel Wallach will teach you how to be more healthy and improve your survival potential. Consider joining Dr. Joel Wallach at the RK Prepper Show in Kansas City, Missouri on September 30th through October 1st. For more information, please call 417-863-7149. 417-863-7149.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Thursday, September 28th, 2017. Silver is trading at $16.82 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,286 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 3.2 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $4,193. Antiwar.com reports the Kurdistan regional government has confirmed that 92% of voters supported secession in this week's referendum and are rejecting demands from the central government to surrender all their airports. The Abadi government of Iraq gave the Kurds 72 hours to surrender all their airports or face the closure of their airspace to the international community. The deadline for this handover is Friday, though it is unsurprisingly not going to happen. Iraq has subsequently been making the rounds, issuing requests to the rest of the world, asking them to comply with their demand to close Iraqi Kurdish airspace to punish the Kurds for keeping their airports. Turkey, unsurprisingly, given their hostility towards the Kurds, were Johnny on the spot to endorse this idea, announcing that they will be forbidding all flights into Iraqi Kurdistan starting on Friday. Born into a devastating world and raised among the crowd, the Cloudwalker assumes a new identity and begins the unrelenting quest for truth. Dear Society by the Cloudwalker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. UPI reports fast food chain Sonic confirmed on Wednesday that it had been the target of a data breach that could leave millions of customers' data at risk. Sonic issued a statement saying its credit card processors detected unusual activity involving credit cards used at their restaurants last week. The company said, "We are working to understand the nature and scope of this issue as we know how important it is to our guests. We immediately engaged third-party forensic experts and law enforcement when we heard from our processor." Journalist Brian Krebs first reported the breach on Tuesday. Krebs said he first noticed something was wrong when he heard from sources that a pattern of fraudulent transactions on cards had all been traced back to the fast food chain. Hackers could use the information on the card's magnetic strip to copy data, clone the cards, and then make counterfeit high-priced purchases. Krebs noted that it was unclear whether all 5 million cards being sold on the internet are solely from Sonic, and that there are some indications another restaurant may have been impacted by the same hackers. Sonic, with 3,600 locations in 45 states, is investigating the breach. The last fast food chain to be impacted by a hack of this magnitude was Wendy's last year, which had more than 1,000 locations compromised. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Puerto Rico officials pressed the Trump administration on Wednesday to lift a ban on foreign shipping between American ports and the U.S. island territory, struggling with fuel, water, and medical supply shortages 1 week after Hurricane Maria struck. Even as federal emergency management authorities and the U.S. military stepped up relief efforts, many residents on the island of nearly 3.5 million people voiced exasperation at the prolonged lack of electricity, reliable drinking supplies, and other essentials. Maria, the most powerful hurricane to hit Puerto Rico in nearly 90 years, swept across the island last Wednesday with roof-ripping winds, knocking out the territory's entire power grid, unleashing severe flooding and causing widespread heavy damage to homes and infrastructure. The storm claimed more than 30 lives across the Caribbean, including at least 16 in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico Governor Ricardo Rosselló called the devastation an unprecedented natural disaster. Medical experts said that they were concerned about a looming public health crisis posed by the island's crippled water and sewage treatment system. The delivery of relief supplies has been complicated by disruption of telephone service and roads still damaged by flooding or left impassable by fallen trees and other debris. Desperate residents have waited hours in long lines for deliveries of diesel fuel to power generators and gasoline to fill empty automobile tanks. Some water supply trucks have been mobbed. Rosselló has strongly praised the response of U.S. President Donald Trump, defending the Republican administration against complaints of being slow to act and showing too little concern. On Wednesday, however, the governor and others pushed Trump to temporarily waive the Jones Act, a 1920 law requiring all goods shipped between U.S. ports be carried on U.S.-owned and operated vessels. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Yesterday, two groups of men shot at each other near Tobagram Base, where I am. Today, the soldiers are happy about some of the men dying and sad about other men dying. Sergeant First Class Aaron Tomlin is only sad about 4 of the dead people.
It's a long, tough day here. We lost 4 good men.
No, 27 men died. 4 American soldiers and 23 Taliban soldiers. You said that 4 soldiers die and it makes you sad. But you said when Taliban soldiers die, it does not make you sad. I asked Base Commander David Hawkins to make it make sense.
The last thing we resort to is hurting anyone. But you have to understand, it's our job to keep the American people safe from our enemies. And sometimes that includes...
So if you kill your enemies at your job, it is not sad.
Well...
What if I killed my enemy Ryan at my job? It would not be sad?
No, you shouldn't do that.
But he is rude to me. He steals my yogurts. He makes fun of the way I talk.
Look, only soldiers can kill without getting in trouble.
Okay. Are you going to kill Ryan?
No.
It does not make sense.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Kicking off our number 3 in studio, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we've been talking earlier, talked about the Jones Act, and, well, luckily for the people of Puerto Rico, that has been temporarily waived. Unfortunately, it has not been permanently repealed. Also talked about the situation out in Utah where the Utah Police Union, or specifically the police union for Salt Lake City, the head of that union, upset that video of a couple of his officers that he represents assaulted a nurse. He's upset that that video even came public before all of the internal processes worked out. And again, Chris, as you pointed out when we were talking about this, there was no internal investigation until the video was made public.
Right. Nothing. Not a word. No administrative action. The officers just kept doing their jobs. And then video comes out, and then, hey, guess what? That's horrible. We need to place these guys on administrative leave.
Changing gears, Cato actually wound up doing
Were we covering the
study.
Football thing?
That's what we're getting into.
Oh.
Cato wound up, what's the term used for when you pay somebody to wind up doing a study for you? Commissioned. They commissioned a study with YouGov to where they had about 2,300 Americans across the country answer some questions, and Cato released the following article a couple days ago. They said, we're releasing one question from the forthcoming National Cato 2017 Free Speech and Tolerance Survey. Again, 2,300 Americans were surveyed in this Cato Institute study in collaboration with YouGov. The national survey finds that a solid majority of Americans, 61%, oppose firing NFL players who refuse to stand for the national anthem before football games in order to make political statements. These remarks stand in contrast to President Donald Trump's remarks last weekend and his urging of NFL teams to fire players who refuse to stand for the anthem. A little more than a third of Americans, 38%, align with Trump in support of firing these athletes.
Are you going to dig down into these numbers maybe a little bit?
I'm going to try. And there's just a little bit more here. And again, they didn't release a lot of information. They have it broken down by Republican, Democrat, Independent, and then white, African American, Latino. Those are the only breakdown
that's good.
That they have. And let's actually continue with what they have written here. And then if something is not written, I can delve into. Again, this was only one question out of a larger survey that hopefully they wind up releasing the full survey. They say here, conservative Republicans stand out in their support for firing NFL players who refuse to stand for the anthem. Nearly 2/3 of Republicans, 65%, say that NFL players should be fired for this very reason.
Okay, so earlier I described a meme I saw online. And
Yes.
the description is, it is a picture of Glinda, the good witch from The Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
And she's asking a question.
Are you a left snowflake?
Or are you a right snowflake? So the right has been pretty vocal in calling everybody on the left a snowflake if, God forbid, you disagree with anything about what Trump is doing.
Yep.
You're a snowflake. That's the big thing. And in this whole issue, and this occurred to me as soon as I heard it and as soon as I saw it was dominating 90% of my social media feeds, which it did there for a few days, and it's still there. These are right-wing snowflakes. I hate to say.
Yeah, well, if any of them got any Patriots tickets they want to get rid of, give me a call.
That's it. You're okay with that. I'll take them. But really, I mean, who's the victim? I mean, this is about nationalism, and that's what bothers me.
Correct. And one thing that and there's a good bit written in here, and I don't see it just over a cursory glance. One thing that is not mentioned here is that prior to, 2008, 2009, the NFL players weren't even on the field for the singing of the anthem.
Right. They stayed in the locker room until the anthem had played, if the anthem was played, because it's not played at every game. It wasn't back then. And then they would run out onto the field. It was sort of
and then have the coin toss and then start the game.
Right. But coincidentally, I'm not sure what year it began, but the Department of Defense
about 2008, 2009, somewhere in that range.
started paying the NFL and not paying
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. And that money wasn't going to the NFL players directly. It was absolutely going to the NFL owners, who I would think it's safe to say the majority of them are billionaires.
Yes.
To promote patriotic activities during NFL games. And it wasn't just the NFL. It was the NHL. It was the NBA. It was NASCAR, baseball.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I don't know who his primary sponsor is now, but I do know a couple of years ago, he was the highest paid contractor for the National Guard.
Interesting.
Because the National Guard was the prime sponsor of his race car.
Right.
And he wound up getting tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah, so to me, as a small government kind of guy, I get really frustrated when our tax dollars are basically put out there to pay billionaires to help recruit soldiers for wars that I don't always agree with.
Right.
And that's what this is all about.
Like, I was thinking about this the other day, because lately I've been like, there's so much information out there, right? That even the people saying that, like, obviously we've done some atrocious things, like when you look at the nukes that we dropped on Nagasaki, Hiroshima, that kind of stuff, as far as foreign policy. But I do know people and family members and stuff that are in the military, and some of, like, legitimately good things that the military's done. I mean, it doesn't excuse the bad things.
Okay.
But, like, okay, let's say,
for example.
Okay, for example, right? I grew up with a computer, right? So I've been seeing footage of stuff that goes on overseas.
Right. Nice
like,
recovery there, by the way, Heather.
Videos that just
stuff.
Yeah, videos that weren't censored, that I was exposed to because of access to the internet, you know, at such a young age, and like some of the things that go on in these countries and stuff that are just barbaric.
Right.
I mean, absolutely barbaric.
So what did our military do that was good?
Well, like,
in
if
those
you know
cases?
there's people over there that are like chopping the heads off of people, for example, like,
stoning
and a group
women.
of people from America dress up in uniforms so they know which ones each other are and go over there to try to put an end to the madness, is that not like a good thing?
I think if the U.S. people expressed their outrage at these situations, so let's say, yes, stonings of women who are suspected of adultery or beheading.
Or suspected of driving.
That's a good example.
But that's what they keep selling us on.
No. Let me continue my thought. And the American people were so outraged at that they demanded of their congressmen that we declare war on this country, that it is so egregious. And Congress declares war on, pick your Middle Eastern country.
Saudi Arabia.
Well, we know that's not going to happen.
Right, but that's where they wind up stoning women for driving cars.
I understand, but now women are allowed to drive cars in Saudi Arabia with a few caveats. That's another story. But the thing is do you trust our government to be judge, jury, and executioner?
No.
I would trust it. I would trust it more if all of our federal representatives and congressmen lived in our states, not in D.C. as like a little cult.
Well, this is where our system has gone.
Like, they can all teleconference each other when they need to meet. They need to be here in the states of the people they represent, so they're accountable to the people they represent, not living and taxation without representation, D.C.
Right.
Even if the congressman from this part of New Hampshire lived in this part of New Hampshire, which she actually has her residence here, she's just going to stay in her house.
Right.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
I got my Blink home security system delivered right to my door. I downloaded the app and it walked me right through the easy setup. Even with my complicated router system, I was done in like 10 minutes. Now it notifies me whenever something moves in front of the wireless cameras, or I can just check it whenever I want right from my phone. And I got you a deal. Get 3 Blink cams for what the other guys charge you for 1, plus an extra 10% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. 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 The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.LRN.FM. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.LRN.FM. You like your friends, and you like LRN.FM, or you wouldn't be listening. So like your friends enough to share something you like with them. Please share that you're listening to LRN.FM on your favorite social networking site.
Have you wanted to get into Bitcoin mining but don't want to deal with the hassle and frustration of operating the mining hardware? Let pool.bitcoin.com handle it for you like I did. Just visit pool.bitcoin.com and use their calculator to estimate what you could end up making. You get to decide which Bitcoin you want to mine. If you already have mining equipment, you're invited to join pool.bitcoin.com. Get all the details and get started mining Bitcoin at pool.bitcoin.com.
Do you want to help build a better financial system for everyone? Join Dash. Dash is Digital Cash, a digital money platform designed to replace cash and help people manage their own wealth. It's fast and easy, fees are low, and transactions are confirmed instantly. Dash is decentralized, run by users who earn rewards for helping run the network and make governance decisions. Dash is set up to succeed where other platforms have failed. Give it a try at dash.org. Help people take control over their financial future today. Find out more at dash.org.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. 855 450 free. That's 855 450 3733. In studio tonight, it's Darryl.
And Heather.
And Chris.
And we'll get back into this article plus your calls and thoughts. But first, I've got a question for you. How would you like to save 5% on everything you were going to buy from Amazon?
Nah, I like paying more, Darryl. You know that. Of course I would. Why wouldn't I?
What if I told you you could save up to 33% on things you were going to buy from Amazon?
I'd say, what you talking about?
You can do that when you save at Purse by going to saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com. And what you do, create an account there at saveatpurse.com. You then put things into an Amazon wish list if you want to save more than 5%. And then you select the discount that you want. If you only want to save 5%, and listen to me, only 5%, you can just search on the saveatpurse.com website for things. And there have been a couple of items that I've purchased to where for some reason when I put it in the wish list, it doesn't show up.
Right.
So I can't get those more than 5% savings. But again, you can save 5%. And who wouldn't want to save money? Saveatpurse.com. cryptocurrency.com. You then fund the account with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. Someone picks up the item, and by picks up the item, I mean they make the purchase from Amazon. You wind up getting the items. They wind up getting your cryptocurrency, and you save money. Save at purse.com. So the article that we're talking about, and we will get to the phones, Cato had worked with YouGov on a survey where, again, they surveyed 2,300 Americans in the Cato 2017 Free Speech and Tolerance Survey. They found that 61% of all the respondents in the United States opposed firing NFL players who refused to stand for the national anthem. We're going to continue with this as far as the breakdown along ideological lines, plus there's a little bit more that they have written. But first, to the phones. We've got Bad Slave calling in from New Hampshire on Skype. Bad Slave, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Thank you, Darryl. Hi, Chris. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
Hi there.
Got just the little, I mean, the federal government was supposed to be so small, that it was really going to be a part-time, job in Congress.
Right.
Yeah, weren't they originally supposed to convene in like December of the year after they were elected?
Something like that. Yeah.
But
you're right.
Know there was supposedly so limited the powers that are still limited according to the most of what the Constitution says, and yet we have this multi-trillion-dollar operation going on,
right?
And all of this activity was supposed to be in the states,
right?
The idea that we have this huge federal government is exactly the idea that the globalists, the people that like to run stuff, that don't like to be named, that don't like to be talked about, those people actually use the federal government, through the whole lobbying thing, through all the laws. It's a completely abrogation of the Bill of Rights. I mean, it's just a nightmare what they've done, and it's all based on the really lousy indoctrination centers that every government school espouses.
Well,
and
a couple thoughts on that, and I was thinking about this earlier. So a couple things that come to mind. If you were to ask the average American what is an enumerated power, I don't think the majority would know what you were talking about.
Article 1, Section 8.
Right. So the idea that the roles that the federal government is supposed to play in our lives are enumerated. They are specifically, those powers were volunteered, granted by the states, given to this new federal government that they created through the Constitution, a very limited set of things that they could do. And everything else, every other power was delegated back to the people or to the states respectively.
Right. And the problem is this,
well, there's more than one problem. Go ahead.
Right. That certainly. But, a lot of it goes back to this group of 9 men and women in black muumuus.
Thank you.
To where they wind up interpreting, well, see, if you, Chris, wind up growing your own wheat on your property and you don't go down to the grocery store to buy loaves of bread that came from Vermont, you're interfering in interstate commerce. So therefore, these 435 men and women down the street from us, they can legislate and regulate how much wheat you can grow on your own property because, see, that's really interstate commerce.
Okay, so what Darryl is referring to is a Supreme Court case called Wickard versus Filburn. And this case basically made the case that even if you're growing something on your own land that never leaves even your own your own property lines. It never passes that. It still has an impact on interstate commerce.
So therefore, we can regulate everything.
Right. Now, I'm going to take it back further than that because you went back to the 1940s. I'm going to go back to the early 1800s, and I'm going to say Marbury versus Madison.
Right.
So we have this thing now called judicial review. The idea that as laws are challenged because of some particular circumstance or a debate between the states, that the Supreme Court has the power to determine, let me rephrase this, the Supreme Court, a branch of the federal government, gets to determine whether something the federal government does is actually legal for the federal government to do.
Right, and they granted themselves that power. And it leads back to that group of 9 men and women. So the example that I gave was just one of the many horrible things that they've done.
I think about root cause. And if they wanted the Supreme Court, if our founders and the framers of the Constitution wanted the Supreme Court to make all decisions about whether laws are good or bad or whether the federal government can or can't do something, then I think it would have occurred to them to put it into the Constitution. But they didn't, and I think they didn't for a real good reason. They did not want to see one branch of government so strong that it could basically shape the rest of our history.
But do you think, like, the founding fathers, though, I mean, when they wrote the Constitution, it's like we didn't have half the technology and half the things that exist today.
This is not a technological question. This is a framing question about how you lay out rules for something. They were very specific in what they wrote about the courts. They were very specific about what they wrote about the executive and the legislative branches. The federal government took that power upon themselves in Marbury versus Madison. We're still paying for it.
And Bad Slave, thank you for the call. Your calls and thoughts welcome. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
In an emergency, you need a fire now. But what if the wood is wet? No problem for InstaFire. Our non-toxic fire starter packs light wet wood, can even burn on water or in any weather, sustains winds up to 30 miles per hour, and each pouch weighs only 1.75 ounces. Need an emergency stove? Get the InstaFire Inferno stove that boils water in under 3 minutes. Temps up to 1,500 degrees. Free shipping on anything. Go to instafire.com/radio specials and get yours today. InstaFire. Fire in an instant. Instafire.com/radio specials.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu 641-793-9660. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Do you want to help the show without actually giving us money directly? Well, you can do that by shopping online. You're probably going to shop online anyway, right? Because most people wind up doing that occasionally. Well, instead of just going directly to Amazon or Newegg or Walmart, first go to shop.freetalklive.com and then just bookmark the site to the shopping place that you want to go to. And then just click that. And winds up taking you through our affiliate links to where we wind up getting a tiny portion of what you're spending online. You don't wind up paying anything else. You just wind up helping us out when you shop online. Shop.freetalklive.com. Getting back into the report from Cato on the survey that they did. And again, they've only released results of one of the questions of their free speech and tolerance survey of 2017, where 2,300 Americans were surveyed by YouGov. And again, the survey found that 61% of Americans oppose firing NFL players who refuse to stand for the national anthem before football games. And breaking it down along political lines, nearly 2/3 of Republicans, 65%, say that NFL players should be fired for this act of protest on the job. And Chris, you had mentioned a meme earlier, and I thought you were going to mention a completely different meme. You mentioned the meme of Glinda the Good Witch from Wizard of Oz asking, "Are you a left snowflake or a right snowflake?" I saw another one where it was a picture of Kim Davis, the county clerk from Kentucky, where it said, "Protest on the job, conservative hero." And then it showed some NFL players that were taking a knee during the national anthem, and it said, "Protest on the job, they should be fired." And again, seems to fit here where, again, 65% of Republicans say that NFL players should be fired if they don't stand and properly, show respect for the flag. Although I do find it interesting that some of the players are deciding to take a knee. They're kneeling, which I personally believe is more of an act of submission than standing with your hand over your heart, because what do you do when you wind up surrendering to a king or a queen? You take a knee and you kneel.
Yeah, I don't.
It's an act of submission.
I know that these players are doing it as a, and we should probably remind some people that may be listening that this was originally started because one player, Colin Kaepernick, whatever, I'm sorry, I just couldn't remember his name.
That eye roll, though.
But he was protesting police brutality directed towards minorities.
Correct.
And that, he thought it was important enough that he was going to do something different. He did it. And now you have a number of players that are doing it for the same reason.
You have entire teams.
I would say you also have probably a fair number of players that are doing it because the majority of the team is doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sort of. I'm not going to buck it. Right.
Well, not necessarily herd mentality, but people that wind up, well, it's now safe for me to do this too.
Right. Maybe
people that were scared to, go out on a limb themselves, but, well, my best friend is also doing it, so therefore it's okay for me.
Yeah.
Getting back into the survey, only 19% of respondents identified as Democrats and 35% that are self-described independents agree that NFL players should be fired. Again, specifically for not showing proper reverence to a piece of cloth with 50 white stars on a blue background and 13 red and white stripes. The report from Cato continues. Punishing NFL players for their political speech distinguishes political conservatives from political libertarians. Using a political typology method to identify these ideological groups, the survey finds that conservatives are the only political group to support firing NFL players, 62%. Conversely, 60% of libertarians, 85% of liberals, and 62% of communitarians, which would be social conservatives who support larger government, all oppose punishing the players. People who are older, with less education and living in smaller towns and rural communities are the most likely to support punishing players who kneel during the national anthem in political protest. A majority of Americans over 65 think that such players should be fired, while 71% of those under 30 think that they should not be. 44% of those with college degrees are more likely than college graduates, 32%, and those with postgraduate degrees, 26%, to similarly support punishing NFL players who engage in this political protest.
Yeah, to me the question has always been, okay, do NFL players give up their rights when they walk onto the field? And the answer to that is sometimes. Let's say the NFL has a...
Right, they lose their right to conceal carry.
I was just going to bring that up, but the point is that it's okay. It's okay for you to voluntarily give up certain rights if you choose to do it as part of a contract. Right. So, for example, if you join the military, you're going to give up a whole bunch of your rights under the Constitution,
right,
because
you're political speech that you say that you will not participate in. And here's the thing about the NFL contracts. I've never read one, so I don't know what they're actually signing.
Well, I have read the rule book, and I do know there's no mention of the national anthem in there. But the point is if an NFL team, an NFL owner wishes to make all contracts with his players say, you must stand during the national anthem, I don't think he's not going to be able to put a team together. And if that's going to be the condition of employment, fine. But for all these people that are just making noise because our president is making noise, it just kind of drives me nuts. And I like to see people stand up for something they believe in, and especially if it's not a popular thing. It heartens me.
And continuing on here, they say not wanting to fire NFL players because of their political speech does not mean that most Americans agree with the content of the speech. Surveys have long shown, as well as this one, that most oppose burning, desecrating, or disrespecting the American flag. Thus, Americans appear to make a distinction between allowing a person to express even controversial political opinions and outright endorsing the content of their speech.
Exactly.
And this is a minutia that a lot of people don't seem to understand. And I don't know if it's, just the polarization that seems to be happening in America to where people can't, empathize with another human being. It seems, and there's a lot of libertarians, and I've even seen libertarians say empathy is a bad thing. Empathy is not a bad thing. Being able to understand where somebody else is coming from is probably one of the best things that anybody can learn to do.
And I think it's part of the human condition that sometimes gets suppressed by our surroundings and our society. And the typical case that gets brought up is like, well, even the Westboro Baptist Church and even the KKK have the right to go out and say hateful things. And I think a lot more people, I swear to God, grasp that concept that even hate speech, as horrible as those two groups have been, even what they say, they have to be protected under their First Amendment. They can say it. We can do all kinds of things to mess with them, make it so nobody goes to see him or surround him and do stuff like that. So they do that. But now we're talking about the flag and the NFL. I mean, has the world gone completely mad? That's what I've been feeling the last couple of days.
And I've even heard some people say, you can't say, fill in the blank about what he's saying because free speech. Well, no, free speech just means that he has the legal right to say it. It doesn't mean that somebody is, free from being called out for saying stupid stuff.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to express my opinion about what stupid things other people say. This is Free Talk Live. What are your thoughts on this? 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the Crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The Crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information. So pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the Crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the Crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-557-0158. That's 800-557-0158. Again, 800-557-0158.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish a TV show where I travel across this great nation, eating pork in every one of our 50 states. Join me on my cross-country odyssey as I make our forefathers proud, reveling in life, liberty, and the pursuit of pork.
You really taste the cooked pork.
This stuff is fantastic.
I'm a big salt fan.
Let's pork! We're tasting prime pork dishes in every state in the Union, and I couldn't be more excited for this once-in-a-lifetime tour. You're going to be right here with me, seeing everything I do and watching every pork I taste. I'm Jim Haggerty. You know me as the host of Today Now, but I've also eaten in a ton of restaurants. Now I'm heading out on the road. My mission? Find the best pork our country has to offer.
Watch Jim Haggerty's Porkin' Across America at youtube.com/theonion.
This is the Onion News Network.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. There's no better app for tracking the value of cryptocurrencies than CoinCap. I've had a lot of apps for tracking Bitcoin, but none that's ever been able to track 500 digital assets at once. Their best feature is the Altfolio. I love this thing. You enter how many Bitcoins, Ether, Dash, Doge, or whatever else you have, and it tells you how much your crypto is worth. You can watch yourself get rich. If you have crypto, go right now to coincap.io, or you can use the Apple Store or Google Play to get the app. I love CoinCap. coincap.io.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. Possibly time for you and your thoughts if you call in now. And we will go to the phones here in just a second, but want to remind you about a movie that's been out for just a little over 5 years. It was actually just a couple of weeks ago that Ian, myself, and several others, host and former host of the show, went out to the 5-year anniversary screening of Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree.
I thought you were going to say the Lego movie.
No.
It's like you finally
Why
watched
would
it,
I be
Darryl.
promoting
I'm so
the Lego
happy
movie?
because
No.
it's the most libertarian movie ever, and you haven't seen it.
The Lego movie was not produced by Free Talk Live host, former host, Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, about a former host of the show, Derek J., who in his first year in New Hampshire wound up getting arrested several times, all for victimless crimes. I think all but one of those arrests happened in front of cameras. So, those are all captured on camera. Documentary made about it. You can watch that documentary online, victimlesscrimespree.com. Or maybe you want a limited edition DVD with like 7 hours of bonus material plus commentary tracks. You can also order that online, victimlesscrimespree.com. Let's go to Sarah calling in from Albuquerque. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live with Darryl, Heather, and Chris. What's on your mind?
Yes, I think that I know the reason why New Mexico has such high traffic fatalities and accidents.
All right.
Yeah, it's like my opinion and my analyst for being here, and I think it's coming from the driving culture that comes from like 100 years of tradition. So. What I mean is that they still drive like the state was like 100 years ago, with 30 times less the population.
Okay.
But so it worked back then when there was nobody out here.
Right.
Very sparsely populated. So you could drink and drive. You could run the stop sign and run the red light, and there was no real consequence.
Probably no real
really
traffic.
But that's what I'm talking about. There's nobody to hit.
Right.
There's nobody.
So
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
I grew up in an area like that. And we had 3 streets, and 100 people in town. So
And how many of those 100 people wound up getting killed in traffic accidents every year?
Generally, I would say there was probably a death maybe once a year, usually alcohol related, but it was rarely a pedestrian accident.
Well,
but no, go ahead, Heather. Jeez.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like for example, your town. If you drink and drive, the one person that dies is because you hit a tree. You killed yourself. That was the only consequence. Mostly people that drink and drive, they hit a pole. So there is this very lax attitude you could run a red light, you could run a stop sign, you could drink and drive. There's no consequence other than you kill yourself, basically. So that's the same mentality of what worked 100 years ago. They still hold on to that mentality because it's a tradition. So, in other words, if this your grandparents and your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents did it, well, it worked because, it must make sense.
All right, Sarah, I've got a question for you because, generally we like trying to find solutions to problems here, and you are good about identifying problems. What's your proposed solution here?
Well, the solution is I don't think there is much solution here because I'm bringing up this problem.
So just banning cars. Let me throw out a couple of solutions here because I know you're a big supporter of the red light cameras, but that obviously doesn't seem to have prevented all of everything. But what about just banning cars? Nobody in New Mexico is allowed to have an automobile, and anybody that wants to enter New Mexico from another state has to park on the border and then walk into New Mexico.
Well, that's ludicrous, because this is a very car-oriented state.
Right, but if there's no cars, then there's no vehicles that run people over. So wouldn't that be a solution?
No, that might work, like in the East Coast, like Massachusetts, where there's trains, Manhattan.
Or where you have a robust public transportation system.
Well, that's correct. I mean, for example, Manhattan and all of the cities was developed before the invention of cars. So there was already train lines and track lines. You can't run through not even a freeway through Manhattan because there's no room for it. But New Mexico was planned out. Everything has been oriented towards cars. It has been developed. All the roads. It's all about moving the cars really fast.
All right, what if we just move all of the roads underground and then have the ground level just be open sidewalk and all of the roads are underground?
Well, state of New Mexico, we're so broke. We are number one with starving children. I don't know how we're going to afford that. We can't even hardly feed our kids. If we don't
what about putting the sidewalks on the rooftops?
Hold on.
Something? I don't know. I talk about it. I don't know if there is a solution. The only thing I could do is, that's why I call the show, to bring to people's attention that we need to change our attitude. We got 50 times more population in 1890. We got people, we got cars, we got traffic. People are running into each other. Can we wake up? Another thing is that this is a very traditionalist state.
Well, I tell you. What I'm really happy to hear is, Sarah, you said, I don't know how we'd ever pay for it. We can't even feed our own children. You recognize that the government does not and cannot do unlimited things forever, regardless of how important the problem may be to a particular person or to a particular group. And for that, I'd like to say, I feel like we're making some progress with you.
Well, this show is helpful as long as I bring it up. The thing is, like you said, the government, like you said, there's no perfect answer.
Right.
They feed the lunch here during the summertime. Otherwise, the kids are starving. Half the kids, the only meal that they get is at the school because their parents are drinking and drugging up all their money, and then they're starving. So they have to give them a little box of lunch, or half the kids are going to starve. So, of course, there's no perfect answer that government's going to rescue everything from everybody. We have 2 million homeless people right now in our country.
And I know. What I always suggest and what I would ask you is, particularly on the issue of food and taking care of children, I can't think of anything more important to do to make sure that children don't go the day hungry. That's horrible to even think about. But I challenge you to do this. Maybe come up with a couple ideas of how you could do that without a government program. What could people in your neighborhood do to make sure kids in your neighborhood don't go hungry? And it's not simple to do even at at a neighborhood level. But I think if we're ever going to get anywhere as a country, that we've got to start recognizing that when we hand things over to the government to do, they screw them up, and it takes too much money. It takes too much time to do.
And I could almost guarantee, because I've seen it happen in other locations around the country, if somebody in Albuquerque did decide to just go around and pass out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, they would wind up getting arrested for violating some food safety law.
Right, and I'm saying part of the solution might involve how you keep out of the eyes of the government, and how you do this in such a way that you're able to actually take care of people without getting your whole thing shut down for silly reasons.
Remember, there was the story of the 93-year-old retired minister in Fort Lauderdale that was feeding the homeless, got arrested 3 nights in a row, all for the same thing of distributing food without a permit.
Yep. It was a case of a food truck being down in Florida to deliver food to people that needed it because of the hurricanes. Got shut down because they didn't have a permit. And they would shut down somebody, Sarah, who was coming into Albuquerque to make sure that kids had enough to eat. That you'll have government programs that are out there and laws that will say, no, you cannot feed these children because that's wrong. I disagree.
Sarah, thank you for the call. If we didn't get to you tonight, call in earlier tomorrow, because we're live all 7 nights of the week. And we are always online at freetalklive.com. Again, if we didn't get to you tonight, call in earlier tomorrow. And it's been Darryl,
Heather,
and Chris.
Have a good night.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to